Good morning. Good morning, and thanks for joining us. This is the business meeting of the Washington University Women's Society, and the first order of business is to call for the approval of the 2023 minutes of the annual membership meeting. For our secretary isn't able to join us, so I will just call for the approval and ask if there's any changes. Okay, seeing none, the minutes are approved as distributed. And the next order of business is our financial report. And I see that our chair of finance looks like she may have had a parking problem, so I'll just go ahead with that. That's where we all can feel that. Our financial statement for fiscal year 2024 as of March 31st was emailed to members. And just to review, our bare necessities sales stand at $573,000, providing a net of $73,659 after expenses. Under other income, our member dues and gifts total $51,279. The membership reserves now stand at $465,000. Funding reserves total $33,800, and the Elizabeth Gray Danforth Scholarship Endowment has reached a current market value of $5.6 million. It's something to share about. Our Ida H. Early Endowment Grant stands at $127,000. And now I invite Kathy Fullstone, Chair of the Leadership Committee, who will present this year's Harriet K. Switzer Leadership Award honorees.
Thank you, Angie. Good morning, everyone. Joining in our interview of our candidates for the Harriet Switzer Leadership Award was Anne Marie Rulin, Angie Bernardi, and Susan Block. In 2007, the Women's Society renamed its award at the retirement of Dr. Harriet K. Switzer to recognize her contribution to the Women's Society and her commitment to leadership development. Harriet, would you please stand and be recognized? Harriet served as secretary of the Board of Trustees for 27 years and as university coordinator of the Women's Society for 21 years. The Women's Society is honored to present this award to graduating women in recognition of their academic skills, their demonstrated service to Washington U community, and exceptional potential for future leadership. This year, the committee has chosen 3 outstanding young women. And believe me, they are very outstanding. The leadership these 3 young women have shown is extraordinary and motivated by the understanding that good leaders can be agents of change in the world that is in need of healing. This year, the committee agreed that these women are most deserving of recognition for their creative, generous, and capable leadership. We offer gratitude for all they've done for Washington University community and the hope they give us for the future. Shirley Pan, would you please come up to the stage? It gives me great pleasure to introduce Shirley Pan. If you've served on the Women's Society Funding Committee, you are probably familiar with the group Made to Model. Our first awardee, Shirley Pan, was an integral part of Made to Model from 2021 to 2023. The organization is a partnership between Washington University fashion design, engineering, and disability advocacy students to design custom adaptive formal wear for St. Louis area youth with disabilities. Their story has been featured in our local media, and Shirley has been instrumental in working with and designing appropriate formal wear for for high school students who use wheelchairs. A graduate of Ladue High School, Shirley currently works as an undergraduate researcher for the Department of Neurosurgery and intends to pursue an MD and PhD to become a neurosurgeon scientist. This ambition began when she was in 7th grade and realized her neighbor and friend had been affected by cerebral palsy. She knew she wanted to devote her own career to helping to cure or prevent such neurological issues in infants. Shirley also serves as Child Life Services volunteer at St. Louis Children's Hospital, where she provides language support for children who only speak Spanish and are Chinese. Her plan is to attend medical school here in St. Louis, and we're very happy to know she will continue to be part of our community. Shirley's nominator had this to say: "In all of my conversations with her, Shirley is intelligent, thoughtful, compassionate, and driven. She is self-assured without being overconfident. When I think of students whom I would like to be role models for my daughters, Shirley immediately comes to mind." Congratulations, Shirley.
Oh, she said right here.
Did you want the photo?
No, right here's.
I am pleased to announce our second honoree, Haley Pine. A New Jersey native, Haley Pine brings educational experience coupled with international training. As a biomedical engineer student, Haley has a passion for emergency medicine, which began in 2018, when she was certified as an emergency medical technician and then volunteered for her local squad for 3 years. Haley combines her academic talent while finding ways to serve others. Here at Washington U, Haley's involved with Lay First Responders International. Lay First Responders International trains community members of resource-limited settings in basic emergency care to create locally driven, scalable emergency medical services. In 2022, Haley traveled to Mukono, Uganda. For 5 weeks, she partnered with the local organizations to improve access to emergency services in the community. This involved training lay instructors, mainly taxi drivers, who often were the first to arrive on the scene of a medical emergency. In basic first aid and triage techniques, she taught them. About her experience, Haley said, "I could try to describe how rewarding it was to be able to help this community and know how our impact will spread. But a better representation is from how many times our colleagues would tell us, 'Thank you for choosing Mukono out of all the places you could have gone.'" Haley's nominator concluded his letter of recognition with these words: "Haley's accomplishments are nothing short of remarkable, yet her strongest attributes may be rooted in her humility and kindness. Haley is soft-spoken and listens intently to others. She is quick to praise and slow to criticize. She's mindful of the needs of the community and willing to share her knowledge and ability freely. I have personally witnessed how Haley's presence brings out the best in those around her. Simply put, she is a pleasure to be around. Congratulations, Haley. Our third awardee for 2024 is Maeve Lomax. Maeve is studying here at Washington U from Paradise Valley, Arizona. She will earn a BS in mechanical engineering, with a minor in Spanish and aerospace engineering. She will earn this spring. And you only need to speak to Maeve for a few moments to learn that her Washington U rocketry team, easy for you to say, is one of her passions. She's president of the club, and she's not here today with us today because the team is traveling to competition in Huntsville, Alabama. Maeve sent a note expressing how honored she is to receive this award and her apologies for not being present to accept it. In her interview with our committee, Maeve talked about her experience working with Spirit Aerosystems in Wichita, Kansas during the summer of 2022. She partnered with machinists on the shop floor and led a preliminary countersinking trial on automated machines to countersink holes to 100% depth while explaining how the new tool could be used with their machines. Can you imagine this young woman addressing such topics in a man's world? Her story was inspiring as she spoke not only about the knowledge she brought, but how her maturity and personality helped her integrate into the world. Maeve's nominator closed her letter by recommendation with these words: "Given what I have seen, Maeve will succeed in all her endeavors using hard work, integrity, and a vision to improve the world for all people. Along the way, she will positively affect all her teammates, impress her supervisors, inspire her own mentors, and build her leadership acumen. She is warm and inclusive. She is smart and serious, and she loves to have fun. Maeve has a smile that is like sunshine and the intellect, vision, and integrity to lead. Maeve is a leader and will always be a leader. Our congratulations go to Maeve."
We have one more picture, everybody. Okay. Okay. I think we might just. Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, we have to come in front, sorry. Oh, there's tape here for us to stand by, but sorry about that. Okay. Hey, congratulations to Shirley, Haley, and Maeve, and thanks to Kathy and the Leadership Committee. In 1976, the Women's Society established a full tuition scholarship program, awarding an annual scholarship to an outstanding community college transfer student. In 1995, the Women's Society named the endowment in honor of Elizabeth Gray Danforth as an expression of gratitude and admiration for all that Ibby had done as First Lady of Washington University for 24 years. Her special personal qualities and dedication have left an enduring imprint upon the university. With thoughts of IBE and potential scholars in mind, our members and friends have generously grown our Elizabeth Gray Danforth Scholarship Endowment, as you heard, to nearly $6 million. To date, 57 scholarships have been awarded, totaling nearly $4 million. And in 2021, we were so pleased to honor our dear friend Ida with the establishment of the Ida H. Early Startup Grants Endowed Fund. This fund enhances our commitment to scholars by providing supplementary financial support for expenses incurred outside tuition to all incoming Elizabeth Gray Danforth scholars. Our many thanks to Ida and all those who made this financial grant possible. Carol Armstrong, Chair of the Scholarship Committee, will announce our newest recipient.
This year, Glenda Selden, as Vice Chairman of Scholarship, joined me on the selection committee to choose the newest Elizabeth Gray Danforth Scholarship recipient. The committee also included Joseph Fitzpatrick, Associate Dean of Students at the Sam Fox School. Our additional thanks to Victor Thomas and Demetrius Coleman from the admissions office, who kept the process running smoothly this year. I am delighted to announce that the 2024 Elizabeth Gray Danforth Scholar is Delaney Osborne. Delaney has been attending the St. Louis Community College at Merrimack, where she has been on the dean's list. She is an honors painting student, and her artwork has been shown at the St. Louis Artist Guild and in the St. Louis Community College Merrimack Art Gallery. Delaney moved to St. Louis at the age of 12 from Springfield, Illinois, and graduated from Clayton High School in 2022. She is passionate about Black art and culture in America and interested in traveling abroad. At Washington University, Delaney will be majoring in fine arts at the Sam Fox School of Design and Visual Arts with a concentration in painting. In the future, Delaney would like to teach painting or drawing at the college level and eventually have an independent art show and display her work in galleries outside of St. Louis. We are very pleased to name Delaney Osborne as the newest Elizabeth Gray Danforth Scholar. Congratulations, Delaney. And we also want to welcome Delaney's family here in attendance today. Well, do I have something? Oh, okay, I have something to give her. Here we go.
Congratulations, Delaney, and thank you, Carol. And now, a review of our year. Women's Society is a group of nearly 400 women of all ages and backgrounds interested in supporting the university and appreciate the valuable asset it is to our community. Our members may be faculty, staff, or alumni, have family members or friends who are alumni, have children attending Washington University, or may just be part of the greater Washington University community, which embraces all members of our St. Louis community. As an organization, our vision is to bring the community to the university and the university to the community, sharing in Chancellor Martin's vision for Washington University to be in St. Louis and for St. Louis. Our mission is to support the educational, cultural, and community outreach efforts that enhance the experiences and quality of life for members of the Washington University community, and we're proud to be partners in these endeavors. 2 years ago, I was honored to be elected as the 31st president of the Women's Society. I am extremely grateful to many members and friends for sharing this amazing experience. I'm grateful to our executive leadership and board members for guiding our Women's Society efforts to enhance our members' experiences and supporting our students. Our successes are the result of an extraordinary team effort between our wonderful volunteers and our most efficient team of professional staff members. Our 10 committees have prepared their strategic plans for the year, and I'm pleased to share some of the highlights with you today. In addition to our usual reports, we also had some new collaborations, both within the university and engaging with our St. Louis community to benefit our students. Collaborating with Neiman Marcus, our Women's Society, and Stephanie Martin hosted the first of 10 events to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the St. Louis Fashion Fund. Nearly 200 members and friends enjoyed a fashion presentation featuring the Veronicas, founders of Veronica Beard. Our very own Sam Fox School faculty member, Mary Rupert Stroescu, moderated the discussion. The Veronicas were very generous with their time to advise our senior fashion students who had displays throughout the store. We also learned that 2 Veronica Beard designers are alumni of WashU Fashion Design Program. Neiman Marcus also sponsored a VIP reception with the proceeds totaling over $12,000, which were donated directly to our scholarship fund. What a wonderful Women's Society collaboration between our St. Louis fashion, New York design community, and local Neiman Marcus store to benefit our students. Judy Gazy, Business Committee Chair, and Kelly Bogda, Manager of Bare Necessities, closely monitor the financial results, assess the use of floor space, and enhance the store's social media presence while constantly watching the bottom line. It's exciting for all of us to see this business provide cutting-edge campus merchandise while producing income for the Elizabeth Gray Danforth Scholarship. It has been another outstanding year for Bare Necessities with many sales opportunities for students, including pop-ups at ceremonies, parent and family events, and medical school and graduate school fairs. Even more exciting for Bare Necessities is that over the coming summer, a new POS system and website project will be taking place to enhance customer service and increase our sales even more. The store itself will be getting some updates in the way of new flooring, paint, and signage, and we are grateful to Kelly for her leadership in these endeavors, which provide additional revenue streams for Bare Necessities. For the second year, Bare Necessities will be the sole vendor at commencement for the sale of flowers and merchandise. The flowers will be provided in partnership with the local wholesale florist, Bayesian Skinner. By collaborating with the local vendor, WashU continues to support the St. Louis community and has the benefit of selling the freshest flowers through Bare Necessities. Bare Necessities flower sales for 2023 exceeded $25,000. Thank you, Kelly. And Bare Necessities, in partnership with Caldi's Coffee, now offers our new Washington University Women's Society coffee blend for purchase. Caldi's hosted members with a coffee tasting and tour at Caldi's Coffee Roasting Company to kick off our new blend in September. Our Women's Society coffee is roasted at Caldi's, a women-owned company, sourced from women growers around the world, and a portion of sales, of course, support the Women's Society scholarships and programs. It's been a busy year for the Business Committee, working with community and university partnerships. Our Chair of Education Committee, Aixa Martinez, led the Education Committee in promoting a stimulating series of lectures. This past year, 6 Women's Society lectures featuring topics including fashion sustainability, artificial intelligence, women's health, the future of cancer research, and a lecture and tour of the Kemper Art Museum. Dr. Anna Gonzalez, Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, also presented a lecture in January about the WashU student experience. We're pleased that nearly 500 attendees joined these lectures, either in person or live stream, during the past year. For the first 3 lectures of the fall, 26% were streaming through Zoom. We plan to continue to offer live stream option to expand our reach for members who may not be able to make it in person. Our first lecture this year featured Dr. Mary Rupert Stroescu, who spoke to us about sustainability and fashion. The goal of the Education Committee is to showcase Washington University to a broad audience in our community with diverse and engaging speakers. This year proved to be an excellent representation of our arts and sciences, engineering, medical school, and design school. Thank you to all who attended. Our funding committee chair, Nancy Garvey, and her committee members reviewed a total of 14 proposals from university departments and student groups. They recommended 12 projects for grant funding for a total of $21,000. Some of the recipients this year include the annual Powwow, Women in STEM, African Film Festival, Civil Action Week, WashU Racing, and Made to Model, which you heard a little bit about earlier. Our grants continue to support fresh ideas on campus while providing opportunities for Women's Society members to work alongside student leaders. Over the past 30 years, the Women's Society has awarded more than $600,000 to fund more than 500 student projects. Our marketing committee chair, Elizabeth Ombre, is always on the lookout for ways to keep members informed. If we have your email, you'll receive e-newsletters and reminders of upcoming events, lectures, and funded projects. You may receive a lot of emails. We also expanded our social media reach this year through Instagram and Facebook. The committee continues to work on creative and innovative ways to highlight the work being done by our committees. And we're so excited for their work in the coming year in support of Women's Society. We're happy to share that our membership has grown 20% this year. Yeah, something to cheer about again. And it continues to grow through the efforts of all of our members and our special events. In November, Bayesian Skinner, provider of flowers for commencement, held a holiday open house and invited our members and guests to purchase holiday decor. They also created handmade holiday wreaths, which we purchased through Bare Necessities. This was a fun event and a wonderful evening for meeting with Women's Society friends. In March, our executive committee hosted members and guests for a spring social celebrating Women's Society membership. Members and friends attended this event to enjoy light bites along with wine and beer, compliments of our sponsor, Schlafly Beer. Thank you all for being engaged as members of the Women's Society, for bringing guests with you to grow our membership, and for renewing your membership each year. This year presented an exciting opportunity to partner within the university for our Composing a Life Committee. Chair Lori Sullivan and her committee members worked closely to develop a collaboration with the Provost's office to combine our events. The Ida H. Early Composing a Life program was combined with the She Leads Symposium in October 2023 for the first time. The all-day event was beautifully done and conjunction with the Provost's office. Each of our 3 dynamic, diverse panelists, including our own Ida Early, told her amazing life story that included unique twists and turns, providing life is not always how you plan it. Having such an impressive slate of women and working with the Provost's office nearly doubled our attendance from previous years and provided great exposure for the Women's Society. Thanks to the success of this event, Composing a Life will be an integral part of She Leads Again in 2024 and beyond. For Women's Society, this yields a cost savings, but most importantly, provides us with an elevated forum and larger audience to showcase our panelists. Committee members who served on Carol Armstrong's Scholarship Committee and Kathy Fullstone's Leadership Committee deserve a huge thank you. These committees had the difficult task of selecting our Elizabeth Gray Danforth Scholar and Harriet K. Switzer Leadership Award honorees, and made terrific decisions, as you just heard a few minutes ago. Our Leadership Committee had updated their brochure this past year and distributed to more than 100 deans and department heads, resulting in over 20 nominations for our Leadership Awards. In the fall, the scholarship committee visited each of our individual St. Louis Community College campuses in an effort to educate as many students as possible about our scholarship and the opportunities. We continue to seek ways to enhance our commitment to the Elizabeth Gray Danforth Scholarship. We thank each of you who have given so generously. Your response is a tribute to Ibby Danforth and her lifetime of contributions to our community. For those who are guests today, I hope you will consider joining the Women's Society, where you will experience wonderful relationship with creative women and benefit from all that Washington University has to offer. And we have lots of fun. As I mentioned earlier, the Women's Society was honored to host the first of the 10 events to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the St. Louis Fashion Fund in October at Neiman Marcus to benefit our students. We appreciate our collaboration with the Fashion Fund to benefit our scholarship fund. Additionally, on April 1st, the 10th event of the anniversary 10 for the 10th celebration continued with Michael Kors and Speaking of Fashion, hosted by the St. Louis Fashion Fund and Washington University. We're grateful to our host, Stephanie Martin, for selecting our Women's Society Elizabeth Gray Danforth Scholarship as a benefactor of a portion of the proceeds. We will also welcome many new Women's Society members who purchased patron tickets for the event. And now we welcome Stephanie Martin and one of our newest Women's Society members, Susan Sherman, who have a surprise for us.
Thank you, Angie. It's so nice to be here today, and I'm so honored to be in your presence and to be part of this illustrious group of women. I've admired your work for so long, and it's great to finally be in the fold. So thank you for accepting my membership. I want to thank Gina Tremelli, I want to thank Angie and Stephanie Martin for what was just an amazing event. I don't know how many of you all attended the Michael Kors event, but I have to tell you, yay. Did you enjoy it? Okay, we need to talk about next year, who you want. We want your input. But it really was heroic, and the Fashion Fund for over 10 years has brought in speakers, but it's never been at this level, and it's because of this university and all the support that they provide, so we want to thank them so much again. So, part of the deal in this partnership was that part of the proceeds from the patron sales of tickets would go to the Danforth Scholarship Fund, which is extraordinary. And so today, Stephanie and I are pleased to present Angie and all of you with a check, a big check for $20,000, which we just saw these wonderful women. I'm so proud of you all and the work that you're doing, so hopefully this will go to more incredible students like you. So here we go. Here's our big check.
Thank you to Stephanie and Susan. Oh, you want to take the check? Okay, I like the check. I like to hold the check. I had to do the financial report, so I think I should get to hold the check. That's very fun. So we're so grateful, and also we want to thank all of you members for supporting. I know many of us went to the Michael Kors event, and everyone's supporting our scholarship fund, and these young ladies here are just the proof that we have for Women's Society. So I also want to thank you for, I have to do some plugs, it looks like, renewing your membership each year in support of our programs. And it has really been an honor and joy to serve in the Women's Society in this capacity and have the opportunity to work so closely with so many amazing and inspiring women during the past 2 years. Our next order of business is the nominating committee report from Sydney. She, as chair of the nominating committee, has slated an outstanding set of officers and board members for the coming year. The committee members reached out to the community to continue diversifying the board of directors, seeking women who could offer time, leadership, and commitment. Sydney. I will invite you to join me at the podium.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. Before I begin with nominating, could I ask that each person stand as their name is called and remain standing until we've called all the names for this year's slate? I move on behalf of the nominating committee that the following board members be reelected from the class of 2024 to serve until 2027. Renee Bennett, Angie Bernardi, Barbara Bindler, Luz Rooney, Anne Marie Rulin. I move on behalf of the nominating committee that the following new board members be elected to serve for a 3-year term ending in 2027. Joan Culver, Sharon James, Faith Maddie, Ginger Marcus, Cassie O'Brien, Shar Smith, and Andrea Stewart Douglas. I also move on behalf of the nominating committee the acceptance of the 2023 officers of the board, and they are President Julie Sword, Vice President of Business Judy Gazy, Vice President of Education Barbara Wilkinson, Vice President of Funding Nancy Garvey, Vice President of Membership Callie Raspberry, Secretary Barbara Swalina, Treasurer and Finance Chair Laura Boges, Composing a Life Chair Lori Sullivan, Leadership Award Chair Kathy Fullstone, Marketing Communications Chair Aixa Martinez, Nominating Chair Angie Bernardi, Scholarship Chair Carol Armstrong, and then for Vice Chairs, Business Becky Brown, Education Suzanne Franca Valdez, Finance Florence Terry Pullen, Funding Barbara Bindler, Membership Renee Bennett, Composing a Life Aster Bayen, Leadership Award Anne Marie Rulin, Composing a Life, oh sorry, I said that one already, Marketing Communications Cassie O'Brien, Scholarship Glenda Selden, and the Chair of the Advisory Board Carolyn Farrell. This slate comes from a committee and does not need a second. It was emailed to all members in good standing. Do we have any opposed? Hearing and seeing none opposed, the board members and the officers of the board are approved as distributed. Congratulations to each of you. For our new board members, could you please remember to join us on stage for a photo at the end of today's meeting? Thank you all so much.
Don't worry, it's big font. We're almost done. Thank you, Sydney, and congratulations to all. I'd like to express appreciation to those members who are retiring from the board, and if you're in attendance, if you could also please stand. Linda Baker Roby, Karen Berry Albert, Nancy Bobrow, Phyllis Langsdorf, Sydney Logan-Wolf, Liz Thaman, and Rita Wiley. Thank you for your time, service, and dedication to the Women's Society. We were so sorry to lose our dear friend and life member Joni Karanjeff this past March. Joni was the chair of our advisory board, a past president, and a valued member of our organization for many years. Her contributions to Women's Society, Bare Necessity Shop, and many committees have left a lasting impact on our WashU community and beyond. She will be remembered for her dedication, expertise, and passion. We will look forward to celebrating her life later this month. And now, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge a special group of women who have made a lasting commitment to the Women's Society of Washington University by becoming lifetime members. We're proud to have you as members in our group, and we thank you for all you've given to the Women's Society over the years. You can see the names of all of our lifetime members behind me on the screen. If you are a lifetime member joining us today, please stand so we can recognize you. When you checked in today, you should have received a special lifetime member pin that you can wear showing you belong to this elite group. And now it has been my honor to serve you as your president for the past 2 years. I'm sincerely grateful for the opportunity to gather with this amazing group of women. My sincerest thanks go to our executive board, board members, advisory board members, and especially our WashU staff. Judy Sivia and Emily Skelton, who have been amazing in every way. And I want to ask Judy and Emily to just come up here for a minute so we can clap for them and give them a little token of our appreciation. They don't like their picture taken, but I think we're going to do it anyway. What do you think? Thank you. Thank you, Angie. Can we take a picture? Can we take a picture? All right. I'm way too tall, though. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They make the magic happen, so we have to thank them. At every event throughout the years, I've been grateful for the opportunities to make new connections. I think you may have always heard me say that every event I meet a new friend, and I'm looking forward to the next exciting year of Women's Society. I know she's around here. As we welcome our incoming president for the next year. And so I want to ask Julie Sward to join me at the podium to receive a symbol of her leadership, which I hate to give up, as Judy knows, because I like to use it at home. Julie, on behalf of Women's Society, I congratulate you on your election as president. You bring great leadership skills, knowledge of the St. Louis and Washington University community, and a great sense of adventure. I know you will continue creating collaborations and partnerships over the next 2 years with your talented team of board members and continue the mission of Women's Society and making it fun for all. Congratulations, Julie. I won't hit you with it. Okay. Oh, you have to talk now.
Yes.
She's going to start talking now.
Now it's time, because now it's time to celebrate Angie.
Oh.
And to thank her for your 2 years of dedicated service as our president. You led us with your positive energy and outlook, your warmth and big laugh, and hard work to this organization and the university. We are so lucky to have had you at the helm to put us back into person after the pandemic. You faced that challenge and went beyond. You helped us to regain and grow our membership. You brought us back signature events and with a focus on fashion. You continue to make it possible for us to join lectures via Zoom and meetings and to help us all stay more engaged and informed. And most importantly, through your leadership, the Women's Society has affected the lives of Washington University students in special ways through funded projects and scholarships and leadership awards. We are so grateful that you helped us to never lose sight of our mission. On behalf of the board and our membership, I express our deepest gratitude, and we appreciate you and all you've done for us. You have left us so much stronger for it. And so I understand that our inscribed Washington University chair is on its way or arrived at your home.
Mine arrived last year. Sydney had supply chain.
Oh, okay. So you can sit back and relax, knowing that your contributions to the society are lasting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Julie.
So I take this.
It's a good trade. It's like, oh, thank you. Oh, you guys are so sweet. You know, you've heard me say it so many times, it's an honor and a joy. And I really, I'll still be here. Apparently, I'm on the, still on the board in the nominating chair. So look out, those people that weren't standing up, you'll be standing up next year. 'Cause I'll be calling you. So just know that. And I just want to thank everyone again, one more time, and let you know that we're going to take a short break, but I have to do a commercial for commencement because Kelly Bogda can stand up and Aixa Martinez, who have a sign-up sheet for you to join us to work with us to sell those fresh, beautiful graduation flowers in May. So please see these two ladies during the break if you'd like to sign up. And then we'll meet back here at 10:25 for our Adele Starbird lecture with Lori Coulter. So enjoy your break, but new board members, please come to the stage for a quick photo. And thank you again. We'll see you in a little bit. maybe they'll turn me on. Good morning. Oh, it's on now. Okay. Yes, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining us for our business meeting. And now we will begin our lecture. And as you get settled, I want to welcome you again. Everyone who joined us earlier for the meeting and the WashU community guests today, we're so glad you could make it here for our Adele Starbird speaker. In 1988, the Women's Society of Washington University began an annual spring lecture to pay tribute to the late Adele Starbird, Washington University's Dean of Women for 28 years. Adele Starbird was one of the most influential administrators in the history of the university and was a role model and advisor not only for students, but for the greater St. Louis community. Each year, the Women's Society of Washington University chooses a female lecturer whose life and achievements reflect Adele Starbird's high standards of integrity, honor, and unselfish service. I know you will find this year's speaker, Lori Coulter, to be exceptionally superb match with these ideals. Lori will be introduced by our Executive Vice Chancellor for University Advancement, Pamela Henson, one of our many strong leaders at WashU and a longtime friend of the Women's Society. Pam has been with WashU for more than 30 years and was named Executive Vice Chancellor in 2019. This appointment made Pam WashU's first female Executive Vice Chancellor. Yay. When Pam took on this role, she dedicated herself to fulfilling the university's mission and engaging the WashU community, and she's done just that. Pam has led WashU's most successful fundraising efforts, including the Leading Together campaign and Make Way. They make me say that, Pam, you know. Pam's very humble, but I got to read what they write. You know how it is. It provides transformational opportunities to WashU students through scholarships, graduate education, and programs that contribute to the best-in-class student experience. Pam and her team of almost 500 are inspiring WashU donors around the world and gearing up for the university's next campaign, which will launch in 2025. We are truly honored to have Pam with us today. Please join me in welcoming her.
All right, I always feel like they give me far more credit than is due, but I am delighted to be with all of you this morning. Thank you again, Angie, for always providing such a warm introduction. I want to let you know, too, that, and I think I've said this before, I think about the importance of the Women's Society, the effort that you undertake every year to help us ensure that we can open the doors to students who are incredibly well qualified, but perhaps cannot afford a college education. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the university for the work that you're doing to advance our financial aid efforts with the support of your scholarship fund. One of the highlights, of course, of the role that I play at the university is that I have the privilege of working with a number of inspiring individuals from all corners of the globe, and even here, obviously, in St. Louis. Everybody that I come across inspires me in a different way. And starting a few years ago, I was able to begin forming a relationship with today's guest speaker. And I am just thrilled that she has agreed to join us. So Lori Coulter is a prime example of that inspiration that I feel. As the co-founder and CEO of Summersalt, Lori stands at the forefront of innovation, fashion, and empowerment. Her vision does more than redefine swimwear. It's a revolution in how the women's experience comfort, style, and confidence, which I think any of us who, when it comes to putting on a swimsuit, needs. I know I need it every time I'm faced with having to do that. As the co-founder of Summersalt, Lori is not just a businesswoman, she's a trailblazer and a catalyst for positive change. Her journey from launching a disruptive swimsuit brand swimwear brand, to advocating for body positivity is a modern-day echo of Adele Starbird's enduring legacy. I think what I should add is that Lori is a member of the university's Board of Trustees. It's wonderful to have these very influential and dynamic women join our board. Lori is also a recipient of a Master's in Business Administration from the Olin Business School, I believe in 1999, so she's an alumna. And she is just a delightful person to get to know. Having had the pleasure of knowing her now, I can attest to the depth of her insights and, of course, the strength of her character. She inspires us to boldly venture into uncharted waters, equipped not only with innovative swimwear, but also with the courage and conviction she embodies. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to today's guest speaker, Lori Coulter. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a very gracious introduction. It's truly humbling to be here today. I'm inspired every time I'm on campus by women like you, like Pam and Angie, and so many that are here making incredible impact in the university community and beyond. It's absolutely a pleasure to be invited to speak today, and Angie really asked me to focus on my story, how I got started, and to be clear, the initial business plan I wrote so many years ago today, and I don't like saying 1999, but was really about disrupting with technology in the retail space even back then. So I'm going to go into that complete story. But before we do, I thought you might be interested in seeing, this is a my marketing team would not be pleased. We're not talking about it publicly yet, so no Instagram posts. I know you all won't, but we are launching a large-scale collaboration on April 23rd with LL Bean, and this just is a brief taste, if we can go ahead and play the video of what's to come. Oh, no, this is our Everybody in Summersalt body campaign. This is great.
My beach body has stretch marks, and I love them. On my ass. My beach body is confident. My beach body is gender fluid.
My beach body is very black.
My beach body is happy.
My beach body is a total contradiction.
Just amazing.
Brought my 2 babies into this world.
My beach body has overcome insecurities, and my beach body has learned how to embrace my natural curves.
Beach body, MMA7.
My beach body is enough.
Pale and covered in tattoos.
Is more than a set of measurements.
Strong. She's been through a lot.
Yeah, everybody is a beach body with a side eye.
I promise I'll show you the LL Bean video too later. So hopefully you gathered from the video that Summersalt really was born out of the childlike joy that we all felt as young girls at the beach. And what we have found with modern advertising is that women are withholding from some of the good things in life. And when we were overwhelmed by over-sexualized images, we don't like to pick on any particular retailers, but let's call it the Sports Illustrated view. It really started undermining what normalizing normal might look like. And Summersalt's whole mantra is really to inspire the next generation of women to dive right in. You don't have to earn a swimsuit. And we are just absolutely thrilled to see that our message is resonating. So to give you guys an idea of where we are, we started in 2017. We had a very small amount of initial seed capital. We sold about $100,000 in the month of June that year, which we thought was absolutely fantastic. Just thrilled with that amount of revenue. And today we might do that in a couple of hours, depending on the time of year. So to give you an idea of the scale of growth that we've seen, we've sold about 3.7 million garments since May of 2017. So we're coming up on year 7. We've raised over $40 million in equity capital and additional funding elsewhere. Does anyone have an idea of how much venture capital goes to women founders? Go ahead. 5%, that's a good guess. Anybody else? That's also a good guess. It's actually 2% of venture funding in 2024 goes to women founders. It's just abysmal. Less goes to women founders in the Midwest. So we know that in general, 20% of venture capital is coming to the Midwest. That includes everybody in the Midwest, though. And only 10% of venture capital is going to anything in the consumer realm. So, the odds of Summersalt being here, particularly in St. Louis, are very, very low. And so we didn't thankfully know those statistics when we initially launched. And my co-founder and I are both serial founders going back to really June of 2016. She and I met for lunch. I had a business in partnership with a major retailer doing digital body scanning and made-to-order swimwear initially. Always for me, it was a passion about promoting body positivity and encouraging women to put on that swimsuit and engage with life. And she owned an agency and had been working with some of the larger direct-to-consumer or venture-backed companies at the time. So by direct-to-consumer, I mean the Casper mattresses or the Glossiers or the Bonobos type of brands that are born digitally and then primarily sell on their own website, at least initially. And she really challenged me over lunch to think about the future of retail, which I was already doing anyways and had been actually considering my next steps. She and I were, interestingly, not personal friends and had never worked together, although I certainly had admired the work she was doing from a brand UX, UI perspective. She was early in the influencer kind of digital marketing space, so really had a good understanding of what was evolving and the opportunity there. And I went away from that initial conversation in June of 2016, wrote the business plan and strategy for what is now Summersalt. So that included the kind of strategy positioning, a financial model, and economically, what we're doing at Summersalt today is almost to the penny exactly what I forecasted those revenues and costs to be at that time. And then I developed a collection. And people always say, what's the difference between a founder and really everybody else? It's just you're crazy enough just to do it. And really went back to Reshma, my now co-founder, in December of 2016 to hire her agency. They were my absolute first choice for many reasons, but primarily they understood how to speak to modern women and to do it digitally. And in my first business, I considered it a significant mistake. I'd gone with a local agency here in St. Louis. There are some really good ones, but their primary focus was selling beer to a male audience. It's a big mistake. And so if you don't understand what's happening on social media, how to speak to the consumer, and then how to present modern women beautifully in an inspiring, accessible way that's not over-sexualized, it's tough, right? And I knew Reshma and team could do that. Ironically, she declined my business, which is, I never let her live down. And we serendipitously ran into each other in New York, actually at a St. Louis Fashion Fund event in January of 2017. And she was there meeting a friend. I actually have one of our earliest, I was meeting that night one of our earliest investors, but we were both there together, and I literally had the deck, the line sheet with me. I had been interviewing PR teams, intent on that top tier launch day one. I do believe if you're launching a consumer brand, you get one chance to tell the story, and you have to do it on a national scale for the most part. There are exceptions depending on the type of business, but if you are launching a true universal appeal type of consumer brand, you have to go out strong from the beginning. So I was, pitching business. Essentially, I was trying to recruit PR teams, not the other way around, and shared the deck, the line sheet with Reshma, and on the spot she said, "I'm interested, but would you consider a co-founder?" And looking back, we're both quite intentional people, step after step planned out in our lives, very risk tolerant, and that's a common thread for most founders, especially if you're raising venture capital and going after a true growth trajectory. But I said, yes, let's talk about it. And I did not know her personally, had not worked together, but again, I had admired the work she was doing and felt like we were both professional enough and at a stage of our careers where we could make a go of it. And if we didn't, it would be okay from that perspective. And so we started working at that time. We both had 2 businesses that were still operating. Unwinding is not a fun situation, and so had to meet on the weekends to continue to plan the launch for Summersalt. We opened a bank account. This sometimes would make investors in the Midwest quite nervous on April 15th of 2017. And of course, we had 2 businesses, but Summersalt had, legal structure-wise, there was a lot that had to happen. The IP from my old business had to come into the new, all these kinds of, really important, yet time-consuming legal activities had to happen. And we launched May 23rd. And so what we learned after the fact is that in the Midwest, that makes early investors anxious. In Silicon Valley, it's a checkbox of what they're looking for. And so just helping investors, and I hope this group learns, kind of understand what the expectation is. The time frame from launch to get traction is probably the number one factor that venture capitalists are looking for from a growth trajectory perspective. And it's just like getting into the school of your dreams. You've got to have the metrics, or the door is not open for you to even have a conversation. And so that's just helping. I try to get that word and message out, especially to students, so they understand kind of the game that we're all playing. As long as you know the rules and what the target is, you can manage to that. So thankfully, when we launch something at Summersalt, we generally do everything we possibly can to ensure that success, but you still, in a consumer brand, every time have the feeling, is it going to sell? And we had that feeling then, and actually Summersalt launched a new website this morning, and I had that feeling again, and just so you know, things are selling. But it was obvious day one that we had captured the heart of the consumer. As my own mother said, it's about time a brand marketed this way. And I think that resonated with women, really across the country. And I'll show you later sort of how we position the brand as well as where we are geographically and from a consumer-based perspective. But it also captured the mind of press. And then we were very early in the influencer space, and so we were utilizing influential women with a social media presence across the country. Most of them didn't have large followings at the time, but you have the third-party press validation and then the influencer valuation, and that content we were able to utilize to lean into digital marketing ads across multiple platforms to really generate the traffic and the trajectory that continued. We were right at $1 million run rate that first 12 months, which to us today doesn't sound like a ton, but that is the metric in year one that venture capitalists are looking for. That is considered top 1% worldwide. From a consumer brand perspective. And what that means, it's really hard to start a consumer brand and get to scale is really what that means. And then, the continued trajectory is 10x the next year, 4x the third year. And so, and then, until you get to 150, 200 million, 250 million in revenue, when you start pulling revenue back to really plan towards, when you've raised venture capital, you're looking for a large-scale exit that likely will be an IPO, but could be another outcome of some sort. Along the way, we ended up raising a Series B round in December of 2019. We raised that round on the promise of additional garment categories, which you'll see that we've launched, many categories, over 20,000 SKUs, to give you an idea, since 2017, which is a lot. And we happen to be well positioned from a cash perspective, but we all know what happened in March of 2020. And I do not say this lightly. In January and February of 2020, Summersalt could absolutely do no wrong. We were truly on fire at that point in time. And a lot of founders use the term on fire, but I mean, it was just gold. We had the golden touch, truly. And in March of 2020, when flights from Europe were canceled, we were spending the same amount of ad dollars, and no one was coming to the website. Zero. And so overnight, we saw 85% of our revenue gone. The next day, 90. The next day, 95. And so it was just absolutely terrifying. We did a good job of reacting very quickly. We did do a round of layoffs. I think at that point in time, everyone understood on the team. And then we leaned into sort of what we could control from ongoing basis. We did not know if the consumer would come back through COVID. We just weren't sure. A lot of times when you buy a swimsuit ahead of a planned trip, we have a very large resort business, and we knew that she was not going to be traveling. And so that was truly unclear. And when you raise venture capital, your business planned to lose money. So not only did we lose our revenue, but we were planned to lose money, which is not a great combination. So we went through COVID. We actually launched, in order to stay top of mind for our consumer, we actually launched we use the term hotline. It's not really a hotline. It's sort of a text messaging kind of platform where our customers could text our customer happiness team, which is our version of a customer service team, and they would send them back a clip of good news or a video or some sort of inspiring message. We made a game of it. And we were covered everywhere from USA Today to Harvard Business Review in regards to our ability to remain top of mind and engage with our consumers and support them where they were. What that did was keep us top of mind. And then in the summer, we had already planned a major campaign that we had booked essentially or contractually obligated to execute on. And we knew that it was just not going to sit well with the consumer if we continued with a tone-deaf message, essentially. So we reevaluated. We were unable to travel, unable to, certainly to do photo shoots at that point in time where you had multiple large production crews together. And so we utilized these high-profile influencer women that we had partnered with who were able to create content in their own backyards, essentially, or their local lake or pool or whatever it is, to produce a campaign called the Summer of Simpler Things. I should have it with me, and you can find it online. But it was just a beautiful message that really gave women permission to enjoy your backyard pool, your slip and slide, your weekend at the river, whatever it was, or the lake, your local kind of smaller adventures. And even from day one with Summersalt, we used the messaging built for adventures big and small, whether it was the slip and slide in your backyard or your bucket list trip to Bali, whatever the adventure, we were there for her. And so that really served us well through the summer of 2020. We continued to see 100% growth, even though for the year, even though we had a very rough spring, and then continued that through the pandemic. A lot of you, I'm telling war stories because they wanted me to kind of talk through the reality of being a founder. But a lot of you may not know we did bank with Silicon Valley Bank, and so. Coming up, we're a year out from their failure, but I happened to be speaking on a panel at South by Southwest in Austin the Saturday after SVB failed. And you can imagine that was terrible timing for me to be on a panel because I just kept getting, lots of interesting questions. But the biggest question was, why do startups have all their money in one place? Because it just didn't make sense to rational business people that's how it would go. The reason startups had all their money at SVB was because if you're venture backed, your investors banked at SVB because they got really good support for doing so. And then a lot of times the banks will come in because they not only are supporting the startups, but they service the venture funds that keep large amounts of cash on hand from their portfolio funds of funds. And so SVB supported their asset base with the venture funds and then lent money to the startups on the other side of that. Which makes perfect sense and is how they were doing it. But my covenants on my credit facility meant I could not move money outside of SVB. And so we actually ended up being fortunate in that we had refinanced our credit facility in November ahead of the failure, but I had not moved my kind of, retail banking relationship. We were still using all of our operating accounts out of SVB. And what we started doing at noon on Thursday, ironically, it was my husband who called me, works in corporate finance, and he said, I saw on Bloomberg there's a run on SVB. Are you okay? And I'm like, well, I can't imagine there's a run, but if that's the case, we won't be okay. And so I started, literally Googling it, and sure enough, there was a run. And so what we ended up doing, we had an old Bank of America account that was essentially dormant. It had $0, and we were no longer a known client of Bank of America, but we started transferring money. So we're settling receipts every day because we're an e-commerce business, right? And so those would have continued to settle at SVB in perpetuity if we hadn't had that bank account open. We could not access the funds, but we immediately started settling to Bank of America. We contacted our lender and said, we're not going to be able to access these funds, so what we're going to do is we're going to pay down our credit facility, and we need you to wire our funds for Monday payroll directly to the payroll company. And so that's what we did. And both the payroll company and the lender really weren't pleased to do that, but because it's not best practice at all. But in that scenario, it was the right thing to do. And for me, the thought of not making essentially we knew that we'd likely get to the funds at some point, be able to access the funds at some point, because our funds we had actually pulled out of SVB. We did have some cash trapped, like our daily settlements that were already in transition. We knew those were going to be at risk, but anything that was at the bank that day, midday Thursday, we had moved. But we didn't know when Bank of America would actually recognize us as a known client of the bank. And it ended up taking them forever because they had so many people transitioning money at that point in time. And so just a fascinating, view on just how critical and how difficult it was for startups. It's interesting because we went through COVID with our team. We were quite transparent about what was going on. I felt like they were pretty risk tolerant, but the SVB situation really rattled a lot of people. And I don't know why, because, we knew we had the funds, right? It wasn't like, but I think that just they felt like maybe the whole startup ecosystem was failing. So the fact that we were able to fund payroll that Monday with zero delay was very important. Many startups were not. And so it was just that quick action on Thursday midday that really, and it was a matter of hours. By 4 p.m., we were no longer able to log into, and it was just a spinny circle of death on the SVB site on Thursday, and that continued through the weekend. It's not all gloom and doom. The joy of building a business from the ground up, doing it with people that I absolutely am privileged to work with day in and day out, is truly a delight. Reshma, my co-founder, has ended up being a close friend as well. People are always, if they know both of us separately, we get a lot of questions because we do, I think, both have very strong personalities. So they're always interested in how that dynamic works. But we are truly two sides of the same coin. I'm a business person first. I'm a trained MBA. Sometimes people want to say I'm a fashion designer. What I will tell you, I'm a very good merchant. And I have a very good eye, and I do understand building product from a technical perspective. But for me, it's really about the joy of creating something new over and over again from the basic components, which is, I remind people a garment is a flat piece of fabric cut into a shape, and it's still today manually sewn by sewers. The automation that we see on the factory floor is really about moving the parts of the garment. It's not about the sewing of the garment, which I just find so fascinating that we haven't solved that yet. And then at Summersalt, we don't do a good job of reflecting backwards. For us, it's almost always about looking to the future. And so when in a minute or two, I'm going to end with our collaboration with LL Bean. But before I do, I just want to go through and give you all just some visuals of the brand. On the bottom right, if you might recognize her, that's Mae Musk. And so she was amazing to work with. Sarah and Aaron Foster they're the daughters of David Foster, the musician. They're amazing. They're also investors in Summersalt. And then some of the other women that you saw in our Everybody's a Summersalt Body campaign. I show this because I think sometimes with fashion, people get caught up in the glamour of the business. And really what we're doing at Summersalt is selling a consumer product that has a margin. And you can't continue in perpetuity without actually having a profit component. And for us, what we do on the back end at Summersalt to really manage to a specific quality, utilizing sustainable fabrics, that was important to us day one. Every swimsuit we've ever made has been made from recycled nylon. And a lot of times people forget that nylon is truly a petroleum derivative. So what we're doing, we believe, is leaving a better imprint on the world. And then because we control the fit of our garments down to the nth degree. Remember I said I came from the made-to-order side of the business, where we were literally making garments using digital body scanning. We made 10,000 of them for women across the country. And they all came back to us and shared their feedback. We had optimized our fit, and we control that fit. I'm the keeper of the fit, really, still to this day. I want it to be perfect and consistent. That is always our goal. And so we have imposed that fit on our factories, as opposed to a lot of major brands are sending a sketch today, 10 measurements that they've measured off their competitor's garment and saying, make this. That's not what we're doing at Summersalt. We operate more like a luxury house in that those patterns are incredibly important for us. It also gives us a couple of things that are really important to the business model. We own the fit. We know where to source it. We tell our factories where to source everything. We require those sustainability certifications so we know where the components and the fabrics are coming from. Because of that, we can tell our factories, hey, we don't like your price. We don't like your timeline. And we can onboard factories in a very quick way that allows us to grow the business to 3.6 million garments sold in such a short period of time. But you can see here kind of where, this is our gross margin, where we fit to the other competitors in our space. Our unfair advantage. I'm not going to talk a lot about this slide, but what I want you to see is that when you're selling a garment that is the most exposed, the most vulnerable, that your consumer is going to be in public, you build trust. And we consider that consumer trust in the most important part of what we're doing at Summersalt, but it also gives us the ability to speak to her on an ongoing basis, to sell her other garments, and to continue to be top of mind for her as we go forward. And then the last point, swimwear is a garment built for loyalty, because once you find a swimsuit that works for you, it's very hard to leave. I see a lot of nods in the audience. And so that was our premise. We were trying to tell this to investors very early on. It was hard for them to understand, because there are few women founders, but there are even fewer women investors. And so what we started learning is that we had to find champions that were women at the funds where that was a possibility. And then we had to make sure we were always presenting the largest version of what Summersalt could be. When we were raising one of our early rounds, there's a researcher, Dana Kanze. I think she was out of Columbia at the time, but she wrote an article that stated women founders got negative or risk prevention questions 65% of the time when they were pitching. Men only get those questions 35% of the time. And by the way, I think we as women need to take some responsibility. It didn't matter if the investors were female or male. And so what it does, if you are always preventing risk in your answers when you're fundraising, you only ever talk about why you're not going to lose $2 million. You don't ever talk about why you're going to sell 3.6 million garments. And so as founders, we learned to keep each other accountable, actually. And when someone would ask us a risk prevention question, we would respond with a growth answer every time. And when I speak to students at WashU, almost always I will get a risk prevention question. And I stop the class. Usually I'm kind. And I say, hey, can you rephrase that? Because and I tell them, women founders get these questions, and then they do. It's the poor soul who gets called out, I feel bad for, but a little bit. But hopefully they won't do it again. And then this is interesting. So we are truly a brand with universal appeal. And when you have a consumer that's primarily female, it's important not to divide your customer base again. And so you can see our household income, about 20% is above $300,000, which is quite large, but about 20% is below. And so we know that for some customers, they're trading down price point wise with Summersalt. Some, they're trading up, and we love that. We think it's, speaks to women broadly. And then you can see sort of our age demographics. We typically start post-college, but really carry her all the way through, and that's our goal. And in a fascinating way, I think the geography is the most interesting, because we index to the population centers across the country. And we're not just coastal, which many of our peers in the direct-to-consumer space are really New York, Boston, and California only, which again, it's really important to get to scale to have that universal appeal. And then the other thing that we've done incredibly well, and I always hesitate to mention it, but I think in today's climate it's super important, is that we appeal across political lines as well. So because we're obviously unapologetically pro-woman, but when we do the consumer kind of studies and cross-reference our households, we light up red, blue, and purple. And there you can see the map across the U.S. Here's just some of our social media. Our team lives for these messages from consumers. I love this one. She says, I have always wanted to buy never wanted to buy a bathing suit as much as I do right now, and maybe I will actually have the courage to wear it. This is such an incredible campaign, Summersalt for the win. We just enjoy these immensely. I'm going to skip this. Our supply chain's not sexy, but it's really the core of what we're doing foundationally, and I touched on it enough. I think you get the idea, but we truly have built a modern supply chain for the future. We don't see any reason that we can't be $1 billion revenue brand and continue to grow in the trajectory we have with the infrastructure we've put in place. And then because of WashU's really amazing engineering program and also data analytics program, I think it's important that I mention what we're doing on the data side is truly extraordinary. We're built on Shopify, which most retailers really are. The ecosystem's amazing to use. But on our site, consumer facing, and then also the back end kind of operational focus on fulfilling, we utilize 70 different SaaS platforms at any given time. All of those platforms, we capture the data, marry it back in BigQuery, and then can map that consumer journey pre, during, and post purchase for all kinds of optimizations. And we're really looking forward to the kind of next phase of data as we think about what we've built and captured and how that can be utilized with AI. Having the data sets, I mean, we are one of the better positioned retailers going forward to really gain from what I consider an arbitrage period where we'll have an advantage over other retailers. And you can see sort of our evolution of product categories, but what's I think most fascinating is when we launched and we didn't have anything other than one-piece swimsuits, our average order value was only $125, and today, we're at over $200. So the continued addition of the other categories has been critical to our success. I'm impressed, and then that's our amazing team. And then, as I mentioned when I started, I'm going to go ahead and play the LL Bean x Summersalt video. We've been working on this collaboration for over 18 months. I'm in New York on Tuesday for a major editor event where we will be hosting about 35 different editors walking through the collaboration along with the CEO of LL Bean. And what we've found is that from a strategy perspective, LL Bean is a really well-known, amazing brand. They do about $2 billion a year in revenue, but they've underperformed in women's swimwear historically, especially compared to some of their competitors that have a strong swim business. And they consider summer to be critical to the future of the brand as we see weather patterns changing and summers being warmer and winters being shorter and cool and warmer. So anyways, this launches April 23rd. And I hope you all enjoy. Do I need to do something? No, he's doing it.
When LL Bean's love of the outdoors meets Summersalt's incredible fit, you're ready to leap into summer. Introducing the best fitting swimwear under the sun. LL Bean and Summersalt. Summer suits you. Shop the collection at llbean.com.
And thank you. I think we have time for a few questions. Susan?
I'm so excited, I just spilled my water.
Uh-oh.
Congratulations, Lori. I met Lori when she had her first deck. She was showing it to us when we were just starting the St. Louis Fashion Fund. Of course, I could kill myself for not investing. But a question, are you still producing totally overseas? And I think people would love to know.
So we are producing totally overseas. What you may not know is we launched primarily domestically with production out of New York when we came out of the gates. And that was our goal, was to keep it domestic if we possibly could. But what we found is the apparel industry, from a scale perspective, it just wasn't available to us at that time. And certainly it would have prevented the growth that we saw. So, we're always open to it, but at this time we're quite diversified. We're across China, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, South Korea, some in India. And then a lot of our fabrics are coming out of Italy, India, and Taiwan. So, yep.
Thank you so much. This was really a great presentation.
Thank you.
I'm really curious how you got the name Summersalt.
Thank you for asking.
It's very
that.
clever.
Thank you. It's one of those brand names that we felt like should have already been taken. We were very grateful to get it. But so Reshma, my co-founder, she's really sort of like a branding whiz, for lack. I don't say this lightly, but so one of the nice things about having your own agency is when I had a working name for Summersalt, but knew it was not going to be the real name when she and I joined forces. So that was one of her first tasks. And we thankfully didn't have to hire any outside agency. And we knew that we wanted the brand to sit next to disruptors like the Allbirds of the world and the Glossiers, and didn't want it to sound like a traditional designer brand like Tory Burch or my name or something like that. And we also wanted it to represent action, and it inspired that childlike joy. And so the team started working, and those were sort of our parameters. And the first kind of recommendation they had was for the brand name High Dive. And that's what they brought to me. And I said, I don't really love it because it really narrows us to swimwear only. And by the way, ModCloth at the time already has a brand of swimwear named High Dive. So that's not going to work. But I do like where you're going. And I said at the time, I go, well, what about something like Cannonball? Like you're, which she said, no, that's not very good either. But that was sort of our kind of back and forth dialogue, and I think it really speaks to how we work together today. I mean, we're quite frank, but we get to a better outcome. And so then she said, okay, I think I can work with this. And they came back, and what do you think about Summersalt with the upside down A to represent not only the action that we all feel, at the beach, like kind of capturing that joy, but also the upside down A was really about disrupting the industry. And I didn't talk about that much, but swimwear had been done in a really traditional way. It was licensed product for most major brands. So Michael Kors would sell the license for swimwear to a third party who aggregates maybe 15 different brands, develops all that product, and then sells it through sales reps. So there's many layers of middlemen. And by the way, remember the factory is the one that owned the actual designs and the tech packs around the patterns. So there was so much opportunity for us to disrupt that, get direct feedback from our consumers, and manage that way. It was the no-brainer from an industry perspective. Yep. So sustainability was important to us from day one. If you notice, we don't lead with sustainability in our branding. I mean, we believe our biggest impact, the most disruption is coming from our messaging around women. However, that does not mean the sustainability is not important. What it means is we think it's table stakes for doing business today, and that everyone should be operating this way. We double down on fabrications. That's where I believe we were the most impactful. So always using that recycled nylon, better for you cottons, wools, that sort of thing, better for the world. However, there is not an apparel brand in the world that is perfect. There's not a person that's perfect either from a sustainability perspective. And so we know that we don't want to greenwash in any way. And so we're quite careful about how we present the messaging. But I mean, the amount of nylon that we're keeping out of landfills is just staggering. And, our long-term goal is to have a fully circular supply chain where we're collecting back in the end-of-life garments, recycling them, and then putting them back into the supply chain. We're not there yet. The industry is really not there from an economic perspective yet, but I'm hopeful in the next 3 to 5 years.
Your collaboration with Ella Bean is really exciting. Can you describe, how did that come about? Did you seek that out, or did they contact you? What did that look like?
So we really had a vision list of brands that we felt like were like-minded from a values perspective. And that, also you're looking for a brand where you can bring something to them strategically. And I talked about that they weren't great with swimwear, but I didn't talk about geographically, we're way more diverse than they are, right? Because we have this universal geography across the US. Also from an age demographic perspective, they're starting to see some of their customer base age out of kind of our core age demographics. So all of that was important, but we did seek it out. We literally got on LinkedIn to see who we knew in common with their CEO, and this, it's as simple as that sometimes, and contacted that person and asked for an introduction. So now, one of the things that the venture capital has done for us is that most doors are open. And so that doesn't mean we'll get the deal, but just being willing to look for that, look at your network, see who you know. And quite honestly, the WashU network is, unlike any other, in my opinion. So.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm glad that you mentioned that you're using recycled materials. I really will encourage that development of the end-of-life program for your product, especially the bathing suits, since it's being used with recycled material, to avoid the situation that we have with microplastics and the impact not only in the environment, but in our health. Thank you.
Agreed, and I'm really thrilled to see the innovation that's happening there, and I'm very optimistic. Mary?
Thanks for this presentation. It's really inspiring. You talk a lot about the U.S. market. You probably sell in other places in the world.
So Mary asked, she said she sees we're primarily focused on the U.S. market, and do we sell across the world? And the answer is yes. We sell in 140 different countries from our website. That's one of our SaaS platforms we have is there's a third-party merchant that owns the goods going across the border into 140 countries and then remits those duties. It's quite complicated from a supply chain perspective to be able to do that, and we're with a small team to be able to remit those duties. But so we partner with a third party. It's a growing business. It's amazing to see kind of where we're selling across the world. But we do believe that we would likely need a distributor partnership in certain markets to really have true scale. And that's our long-term approach there. We have a lot of growth still in the US, but both the UK and Canada are our number one markets. Obviously, the language makes it easier, and then Australia in the off season is quite strong. But as you think about our site, if you were coming to our site from a non-English speaking country, the third party will show you the price in your local currency, and you will check out in your local language. But really, that's about it. And so there's a lot of work to be done to be able to do that on a global scale. Yep.
How you've built the infrastructure that focuses on maintaining the quality and the personalization as you scale so largely and quickly.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes I think it's hard for people to getting your mind around how much scale we've actually had in a short amount of time is tough. And it just goes back to those principles of really owning. When you make a garment, whether you make 10 or 10 million, the tech pack and the specifications around that garment are the same. And so in some ways, it's a category really built for scale from that perspective. You do need more workers, right? And so that was why it was so important for our supply chain for us to own that, really the data and IP around our designs, and not just the actual pattern, the shape of the garment, but how to make it. We were controlling that from day one. That's why we were able to do it in the US. That's why we were immediately able to do it in China or Sri Lanka or India or wherever we were working, is that ability to control. And then I didn't talk about it, but we have very extensive quality assurance built into every step of our production process. That includes testing of all materials to make sure we track the sustainability claims all the way back to the farm if it's a natural material. And then we have that at every step of the supply chain. And then we also send it for testing to make sure they're utilizing the appropriate dyes, again, from a sustainability perspective, but also from a performance perspective. And then finally, throughout the production process, there's many stages of sampling to make sure. And I still, to this day, I do 2 fittings a week, and I approve every garment that goes out at Summersalt. And not just approve it one time. I'm seeing it at every multiple stages of the fittings to make sure that it upholds our promise to the consumer. And so I'm kind of, like I said, the keeper of the fit. And then eventually we get to the process where we're at a top of production kind of sample. So the factory will send us a size run from the production run that we review. We identify any sort of issues at that point, correct them, and then after the fact, we send in third parties on the factory side before it ships to do a quality assurance audit. They'll do a certain statistically significant count to make sure they're pulling from, what the appropriate number. And then if we see a problem or anything concerning, we will have them fully inspect the entire shipment if it's statistically significant. And then those goods should never show up in our fulfillment center if there's a problem. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just want to thank Lori very much for joining us. I don't know if you know that we have a Bare Necessities shop, and we might want to get into some swimsuit partnership, because I bought a swimsuit last summer before I met Lori, and it's amazing. It fit me perfectly. The quality is just amazing again. And I took it to Greece, and I got a cover up, and you can text in a picture of yourself in the swimsuit, but I didn't. I told her, but I didn't.
I only post them if you tell me I'm allowed to.
So when we have our Wash You swimsuit from Bare Necessities, we have a couple of gifts for you, though. And the first gift is a membership to Women's Society, so thank you for joining. And also some items from our Bare Necessities shop, but there's not a swimsuit in there. But
these are darling.
We are so grateful for you sharing with us, and also your work on the Board of Trustees. You are very selfless with your time, and also talking to those Wash U MBA students. Thank you again. Yeah, and also, should I tell them about the class? So Lori actually got her MBA from Wash U, and my husband was one of her professors. So that's how old I am.
He was a star then and now. So.
Oh, Jesus, very kind. It's the whole Wash U community that we always talk about. So it has been a pleasure. And we have a little gift for everyone on the way out, something from Bare Necessities. I bet you'll know that. And also we're having lunch in the Frick Forum. We hope you can join us, Lori, if you have time. And we welcome you all to join us for lunch as well. Thank you so much.